Hey guys, today I have something special, especially for you younger collectors, because as it turns out, collecting quality holsters is a lot cheaper than collecting guns. There's no background check, and I can easily ship them through the mail, and they continue to go up in value. Let's take a look at some of the ones from my collection. Okay, we're going to start off with this holster. Can you tell me what it is? Go ahead and comment. But this is a Polish Radom, also known as a Radom, also known as a Viz. So it has different names, also known as a P39. Here's a picture of a Polish Radom in case you don't collect these guns, but this is the holster that would go with it. They had several different makers. Many of them would be marked BNZ right in here. You can barely see it, but there is a white stamp. BNZ, I believe it's 44, so it's mid to late war, and then it says P39. Again, you can't see it fully, but these are about as nice as they come. These are usually beat up pretty much because the Polish guns all went to the Eastern Front, and also fighting within the Eastern Front got pretty mean and ugly. A lot of snow, a lot of bad weather. So to find one in this condition is very rare. These sell in somewhere in the 300 to 400 range, and I would rate this as excellent. Not mint, because of a couple dings. Mint, well, we'll see some mint ones, but this is very good to excellent. Next, I have an interesting one for you because we're running over to the Pacific really quickly. This might be interesting for somebody out there who would like to have a Nambu holster, a baby Nambu holster, fairly cheap. Now, here is one from the early war years. This is a baby Nambu holster, and this one came in this holster. And the holster can be $1,500. With the original straps like this, it could be closer to $2,000. And the baby Nambus with a matching magazine have been selling in the $5,000 to $6,000 range. So all that is to say, this is an expensive proposition, and to you younger collectors who are looking to get into the hobby at a lesser price point, this is not your gun. But this is what the real one looks like, and this actually, made by the same factory, at least that's what I'm told. Take a look at the back really quickly and the front. I'm told that these were made at the same factory after the war was over. Everybody's looking for work. The GIs were coming in. They occupied Japan for a period of time. MacArthur was in charge, of course. And so the GIs were looking to buy souvenirs. And since there was a shortage of these holsters, they actually remade some from the original factory to the original specifications. Also, when I open this up, there's some original ammo. Now, something strange about this ammo, wanted to show you, I took one out, and actually that's rubber there. Somebody popped the primer out and put a rubber patch in there, and they're all like that, which I'm glad to see because I can't ship these in the mail with live ammo. So the bottom line is, this is actually a post-war replica of the wartime Japanese Nambu. And this would sell for only about $350 as opposed to the $1,500, and I'm just showing you that it actually fits perfectly. Okay, now I have some Luger holsters to show you, all excellent condition. And I forgot to mention, one of the reasons I did this is because today I had a young collector, 22 years old, say, I've been watching your videos, I want to get started, and I can only afford low-end guns. So he was looking at $400 or $500. And for all of you in that situation, I recommend you start off by just buying quality holsters from World War II, military markings such as the Waffen stamp right here. This is 1940. Many of them will have the name of the company and then the town that it's in, such as Hamburg or Berlin. And then others will just have a company initial. If it's military, it should have a Waffen proof, and then most of them are also dated. This is a World War II holster. A great place for a young collector to get started if you want to spend just $400. This is, by the way, probably about $450. Of course, the Luger tool goes here, and this handles a standard Luger from World War II. Going back in time, this is the artillery Luger. Here's a picture of an artillery Luger. It has the extended barrel. It's just getting to be impossible to find them in this condition. This is some kind of a logo or unit marking right here. This is because it held a shoulder strap. These were carried, the artillery Luger was carried like an over-the-shoulder strap. Then this would, they would put the stock behind it. This flap comes down, and when I look inside, again, this is stamped. It has the name. There wouldn't be any Waffen stamps, of course, because this is World War I, and the date is hard to read. You'll take my word for it. Under a magnification, I can see 1918. So this thing is over 100 years old, never issues. It's still stiff, but it is original. Not fake, not repro. They do sell a lot of repros that are being made in Pakistan. So just be careful. I'll talk a little bit about spotting repros. One thing you have to be sure to do is smell it. It should smell like old leather shoes and not brand new leather. So that's one thing you look for. I'll tell you other things to look for. One unique thing about the artillery holster, it does have the cleaning rod right here. And so there would be a cleaning rod that would go all the way down from here to here to satisfy the length of that barrel. But let's keep moving. I wanted to show you this one because the most Luger holsters, the flap goes down, meaning it starts here, goes down, and then snaps here. This one goes up, and this is a police style holster. And this is in mint condition. You think that's repro, it's not. This is in mint condition. Again, collecting 20 years. You find something like this, you just put it away. It was never issued because it's still stiff. Well, this flap has moved a little bit, so maybe it was used just a little bit. It's clean all in here. Does not smell like a new pair of leather shoes. But it is a police style, and if you look at the back, instead of a Waffen proof to the military, that is actually a police proof. It's the eagle with the stubby wings, I like to say. So if you think of your T-Rex with the stubby hands, the police eagle has stubby wings. This is made by Fischer in Berlin, 1942. How do you like this baby? If I were to sell this one, believe it or not, in this condition, this one's going to go for $800 or $900. Here's another from World War II. World War II Lugers by 1940, more and more were made in black, and so you see mostly black. That last one almost an orange color. That's really unusual. Had to be a special order from the police because that was almost an orange color, but really it's probably considered to be a light tan. This is an indication where this flap is not sticking down. Like this one, you see the flap, it automatically goes down like that. This one stays open, which tells me it was probably never issued. So picked up by a GI. This one is also very good to excellent. You can see P08 here. Maker, remember I said if it didn't have the town and the who the company was, it'll have the initials. This has BML 41. So this goes to a Black Widow, 1941. Could be a brown grip or a black grip. There's the Waffen stamp right here. Usually the Waffen stamps are pretty light because over time they begin to lift, and I'm going to say more about that in a minute. This holster is about a $500 holster. And by the way, very similar to this holster. You can see another black one. This is probably, you can see some scuffing here. This one's a little better, so this might be more like $650. I know you thought I was going to save you money, but I'm showing you some of the most expensive ones I have, but these are the ones that go up the most in value. The better the quality, the better the return. Just like buying stock. You buy quality stock, you're going to get a better return most times. With this, absolutely. Never lose money on these holsters when I buy them. Buy them for the right price, and they're in this condition. Again, initials, DLU, and that's not something university, that is the maker. You can see 1941, just like the last one. A very nice Waffen stamp, and then P08 right here. Always look at the stitching. It's tight, it's good, and you open it up, it's clean inside. Very nice holster from 1941. And now I'm going to go to some P38 holsters. I'm going to bring these over here. These are called a hard shell. for obvious reasons. It has a hard shell, and these are called soft shell. So in the early years of the P38, so 1940 to about 42, most of the, well, actually all of the ones that I see were hard shell. You might see a 42 with a soft shell, but from 40 to about 42, they're all going to be these hard shell, which obviously are a little more expensive. You open them up like this, nice and clean inside. This is excellent to near mint condition. This says P38 right here instead of P08. You see the Waffen stamp. This, I believe it says 1940. It has like a little bear, what I call bearskin rug. That's the logo of the company that made it. Those of you who collect the holsters know the bearskin rug, and dated 1940. I already gave you the condition, and this is going to sell $450, maybe as much as $500. This is kind of rare because it goes with a Swedish P38. Very early, some of the earliest ones in 1940 went to Sweden. They had a contract for their police. This was one of the ones that went to Sweden. There's a unit marking on here. That's probably the serial number of the gun. Well, it does say number, and that would be the gun number, and that's a unit marking. Oh, I almost forgot. And then open up inside, the lanyard comes with it. And deep down inside, I found a little surprise kind of wedged down in there, and that's an oiler. So whenever you open a holster, dig down around in there, because sometimes I find newspapers, stuff down in there from World War II era. I should have mentioned one thing early on. I didn't mention the pull-up strap. Most of these will have a pull-up strap, so when you want to pull your gun up, go like this. And with all of these Luger holsters, the pull-up strap, you can pull it like this. It pulls up in order to get your gun out. But I find that people never really use it. I just grab and pull the gun out. But that pull-up strap is there with the P38s and the Lugers. If they're broken, that obviously hurts the price. So when you're looking at them, you look for authenticity, look for clear markings, look for good leather. But while you're at it, check out the pull-up strap, make sure it's not missing or broken. Okay, I mentioned the hard shell. Now here's the soft shell. It's got its name for obvious reasons. The soft shell holsters, actually, I used to be able to buy a mint one for 150 bucks. They were coming in like crazy after the fall of the Iron Curtain. That's when the Russians, the Soviet Union broke apart. East Germany united with West Germany. The wall came down, and in East Germany, the Russians had stored all kinds of guns and holsters. And so I used to go to shows, and people would just have stacks and stacks and stacks of these holsters in unissued condition. In fact, they were just, they were laid out like this and one stuffed inside of each other. And you could walk around with 50 of them, just, you know, anyway, they were plentiful, and I used to buy them in mint condition for 150 bucks. Now this soft shell, beautiful holster, again, they're usually black. Tan would be very unusual, and I'm going to show you something even more unusual. But tan is a little bit unusual. But typically, we're getting about $250 to $275 for a really nice soft shell P38 holster, as opposed to ones I just showed you that might be more like $400, $450. Now, this one would sell for a premium because most that I see are going to be 43 and 44. I never see 45. One time, I saw one on Rock Island. That was dated 1945. It sold for a lot of money. And then I picked this one up at a show. Actually, it came with a gun. I separated it out because it was an earlier gun. Don't know why it was in a 45 holster. But I've kept it ever since because it's just a rare date. So things like rare dates you need to know. There's just nuance to collecting, and the more you do it, the more you read, the more you learn. But this does say P38. There's the maker, which is DLU. That's that university again. And then 45. So I wanted to show that to you because that's pretty rare. And the rest of it is just a soft piece of leather. Okay, we're making progress. Next, we come to my bread and butter, which is PPs and PPKs. These are two different styles of PP/PPK holsters. Many of these will be ACA marked for PPs and PPKs, and then some are not marked at all. I think this one is unmarked. Oh, no, this is Aka. It has the Aka logo down in here. Hard to see, but it actually will say Aka, which was a company name, and then it has crossed rifles as a logo. And this went to a PP, not the PPK. You can see the PPK would have a shorter snout. So it's about a 3/4 inch, a little bit shorter on the PPK. This is a PP, just a nice quality, but you could buy something like this for about $250 or $300. And I would call it ubiquitous, meaning it can go with a PP, it can go with a Sauer 38H, it could go with a Mauser HSC. So any 7.65 caliber German weapon would probably fit in this, and so it wasn't specially made for the PP, but it was used pretty extensively. Here's another example. Here the mag pouch is on the front, and these are a little more common and cost a little bit less, but then there's the leading edge where the mag pouch goes on the leading edge, or the sight edge. If you're gonna aim it, this is the sight edge, leading edge, mag pouch on the leading edge. These bring a premium just because collectors like them, and what makes this one special, it actually says it's for a PP. So that little blue stamp in there, it can be PP or PPK. It adds value. The leading edge adds value. It is Aka marked right here with the crossed rifles, and then DRGM, which is the patent, or the, it's a German patent department. So that's how these are marked. These leading edge PP holster. This one is in near mint condition. This one's going to sell in more like the $450 to $500 range. Now I have some very special holsters that I want to show you, because these are all party leader holsters and some rare stuff in here. So let's take the easiest one to see is this one right here. These are all going to be Aka. Some of the other ones will be marked a little better, but this has the DRGM. It has the Aka marking. You probably can't see it. The closure strap is squared off because they didn't want to cover the most important part to them, was the swastika. We, of course, like to cover the swastika, but normally it would always have this rounded edge that if you had the swastika there, it would cover it up. So these are cut off here. They're Aka almost always. I'd say 99.8% of the time. These are going to be Aka marked, but we have actually found a party leader that was not made by Aka. I always assumed it was a fake, but I'll show you the power of YouTube in a second. This one I like because you can see the eagle very plainly. I don't know how they did that, because most of the party leaders are going to look more like this, or like this, or like this, or like this, where it's cut off and you can just barely see an indentation where that was struck. So it's almost as if somebody put some kind of a darkener on there. I'm not sure if it came from the factory like that or somebody did it, but it certainly looks very cool. It's easier to spot, I should say. Now, the party leader holster came in 3 different colors. This is like a tan color. These I both consider tan. This is like a reddish tan, and this is more of a brown tan. But it also came in a coffee color, because it looks like a coffee bean. And then it also came in black. The black is assumed to be late war, and pretty much I think, I can't swear to it, but I think all of the ones that I've seen that are black are actually dyed black. If I look down inside this pouch, you don't need to see it, you'll take my word for it, but it's probably a dark tan down inside there, and then you can see the dye ran over. Now that's not unusual. The Germans dyed their holsters pretty frequently because, like the SS, when they came out with an edict in 1940 that your holster had to be black. And so anybody who had a brown holster sent it back to be re-dyed. Perhaps, that doesn't mean this went to an SS, but it could have. It actually has a person's name in it, Zoe. Actually, that could be a last name. I'm sure it is a last name. I can't pronounce it. But this is an Aka holster. It was tan and then turned black. It is a party leader. All of these party leader holsters, due to the condition, condition is all very good. Maybe not quite excellent. But all of these are going to be somewhere between $2,500 and $3,000. So each one of these, $2,500, $3,000. Party leader, it was an honor weapon, a PPK that was given out for loyal service or actually purchased, given to or purchased by a loyal Nazi, and they came in these different colors. Now, I always said they were only made by Akka. This is actually probably the best one. It's just got a really nice strike. It has a really nice DRGM, an Akka logo right underneath it, nice and clean inside. You will find them sometimes where it says Walther PPK in blue ink. That might have been there. I can see a hint of blue ink. Either that or it's my imagination. But the power of the internet. I said it only came on an Akka, and then I got a holster identical to this that is not Akka made. There's no maker mark. It has a party leader stamp, and I said it has to be fake. But one of our viewers actually looked it up, because if you look right here, there's an RZM in a circle. Very hard to see. There is a 41, that's probably a date. So 41, RZM, and then some numbers. He actually looked this up from the purchasing department and found out that this actually was issued to the party, the Nazi party. And it has the party leader eagle. So I haven't investigated enough to tell you more about that. I just know that it has been found. I've seen two of them that had this RZM, 1941, and then some kind of a property number. This actually also has a name here and then a number, and I think that number is a GI number. So my best guess is this was brought home by a person, a GI brought it home as a souvenir. Not sure what kind of gun it had in it, but this is one of the few party leader marked holsters that was not made by Akka. Okay, here's my last one. You know what this goes to? Well, drum roll. I'll spare you the angst. This was, you can tell by the size of the mag pouch. This is to a Browning High Power. It had the first stackable magazine, and so this was a favorite among the SS troops. They had 13 shots instead of 6 or 7, so it basically doubled the mag capacity. So it's very distinct because of the wider mag pouch. Now, this is an okay holster, a little dark for a high power. Usually they're tan, but it looks like somebody dyed over it because you can see like the tan coming through, but it looks like it was dyed. And then we also have a brass stud. Closure strap goes into that stud. But then I have a very distinct mark that makes me sit up and notice because I think, wow, this is really rare. I can see the Waffen stamp. I can see the maker CNY, and then I can see 1940. Now, the earliest I've ever seen dated for a high power holster is 1941. So I thought, wow, that is really rare, 1940. I'm looking at like $450 for this thing. But what bothers me is it smells like a new pair of shoes. And secondly, that stamp is really deep. You know, when we looked at all the other stamps, they're very faint, and let me tell you why. I've said this before. It's easy to understand if I can paint you this word picture. When you move your furniture, you move the coffee table on your rug so that you can vacuum underneath it. It leaves dents in the rug where the stool indented into the carpeting. Now, if you take that away and leave it off for years, the carpeting begins to raise. After time, it begins to raise. And that's what happens with these stamps. When they first stamp them, they're clear and crisp like that. Very clear, very crisp. But over time, they begin to raise. So that when I go back and look at this is actually very, very crisp for a Luger holster, but you can see where that's you know, pretty faint. This came out, this was struck in there pretty strong. But I can see the maker and the date, but it really has raised over time so that it is somewhat faint. And bear in mind, this is about as good as it ever gets. You'll go to a lot of gun shows, look at a lot of holsters where you can't read it. You have to go home and get magnification to read it. This, I could read it from 30 yards away. Well, maybe not with my eyes, but your eyes. So I had my doubts. Now, here's a tip. First, again, we have a Waffen stamp. I can look up that Waffen stamp, and it looks like it's a 150. which did not make sense. But the easiest thing to do is don't call me up and ask me, because you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to Google it. So I go to German holsters, World War II, CNY 1940. Turns out they never made one. I did find a company, CNY, that made some P38 holsters, and they are fairly rare. The dates were all later war. That doesn't matter, but I'm basically looking at, yes, they did make holsters toward the end of the war, nothing in 1940. In fact, I then looked up high-power holsters in 1940, and the first one I could find is 1941. And then finally you look up the Waffen stamp and you find out there was no Waffen stamp that went with this company that went with the high power made in 1940. So that clinches it. Now we take a $450 holster, we try to enhance it by putting all this on it, and it turns into a $100 holster. So I will offer this for sale. It's only going to be $100. It looks good with your high power, but the stamp is fake, and it's a shame because it ruined an otherwise pretty nice holster. Hey, I hope you found that helpful. Many of these will be available. I'm thinning the herd a little bit. So about a day after the video airs, some of these will be available, so you might want to check them out on our website, legacycollectibles.com, and go to accessories. Under accessories, you'll see the holster section.